You're with Sean Jung and Where the Veil Grows Thin, an exploration of the sacred moments of our human experience in life and death, joy and sorrow, birth and end of life. It's the unscripted instant when the heart opens, the face-to-face moments with the divine.
Hi, this is Sean Jung on Where the Veil Grows Thin, and I have Ben Leroy with me again to talk about some of what I was just writing about. It was actually Ben who prompted that a couple of weeks ago when he asked me specifically about art, what I've seen in my time working in end of life with people that are nearing that point where there really isn't any, the outcome is pretty clear. The outcome is going to be that they die from whatever is happening. I just haven't worked with that many artists to know what that was. So we're going to continue the conversation about what do we do with this information when it comes, and what we've seen, what we've both seen. He seems to think I know more.
Well, I considered you to be a very wise human being. But yeah, I I wanna talk I wanna get your opinion and your experience that it feels like in the face of a diagnosis, in the face of an impending loss of life, that it would be very easy to go into an existential crisis, and that doing things that have historically been meaningful to you in a way of self-expression, be it writing, painting, ceramics, whatever it is. How do people balance a sense of what's the point with I still need to do the thing that gives me joy and that can be a lasting legacy for those who will remain after I have departed?
So your experience of, or your thoughts about, it would be pretty easy in that situation to get very depressed and to think, what's the point in doing anything at all? And my experience has been that it's a very low number of people that I worked with in end of life who had that. And it isn't really so much an attitude. It kind of maybe starts as an attitude of what's the point? Why do anything at all? Because they find something that means something to them. And if you're an artist, it's going to be your art. I don't know that your art changes necessarily, but it might if you're told that your time is short. Most people want some joy in their life, no matter how short their life is going to be. And finding that thing that, why do you get out of bed in the morning? What makes you get up in the morning? And I think that's kind of what you're saying, is that it would be really easy to just say, why bother to even get up? Why bother to brush my teeth? Why bother to take a shower? Why bother to, try to, it's overwhelming sometimes to think about all the things that we think we need to get done before we die. It's overwhelming. So why do any of it at all? There's a part of me, because I've worked in this field for so many years, that it's I I feel like I live a pretty clear life with the people that I love, and my neighbors and my family and my friends know how I feel about them. There isn't a whole lot I need to do around that. But like I said in the writing before the podcast, what popped up for me when I was writing was that I want to clear off this desk. Those books behind me might look all neat and, not totally neat, but pretty neat. If you could see what lies underneath where I'm sitting, it it isn't neat at all, and it's just some mess that I don't want to leave. for anybody else to have to deal with. So that's would be something I'd want to do. But that bequeathing of items that are treasures in my life, that's something I would really want to do. I like all the stuff that we have that surrounds us, and but there are certain things that are mine, and the treasure is in my heart for loving them or whatever. If it's a family heirloom, if it goes to a sister, I talked about it, I think, in a writing that Shelby said, "Mom, you need to get colored dots and assign a name and put them behind certain artwork that needs to go to somebody." This, what I'm talking about though, is different. I just wrapped up, before I came upstairs, wrapped up this picture that's a fish, and it's really awesome. And I've loved it for a long time. But I have a friend who had a birthday, and she lives out in Santa Barbara. Her birthday was last week, and she collects pictures, like faces, like cream pictures. And so I wrapped it up to send to her with a note that I've loved this for a lot of years. And maybe now you can love it for a little while before you pass it on to somebody. If you don't love it, pass it on sooner. Those kinds of things are the legacy that I will leave, because I'm not an artist per se in terms of artwork that you would hang on the wall. But my legacy is going to be these podcasts and the writings that are on the website. That is what I have felt for so many years needed to come out. So that's done. We are working now from the present moment forward with the things that I'm writing and that we're doing podcasts about. So it, not a lot of people live with an awareness of their own death every day, like I have for at least the last 24 years. And it has served me well to do that, because should I be reminded, I think I probably have a leg up on some people that just haven't wanted to think about it or plan for it. I don't know if any of this is making sense.
But it makes a lot of sense, and I think that it probably resonates with a lot of people who are listening because it is uncomfortable to put your hand on that doorknob and open the door and take a peek into the inevitable and weigh its consequences and the considerations involved with it. So, yeah, it makes sense. It's an area that is so full to me, at least, I guess I should specify that. It is just so full of so many emotions that are entirely overflowing the pitcher, the fish pitcher, if it were. And anything in that volume, in that quantity, in that intensity, any of that seems like stuff that is potentially about to overwhelm our system. And prolonging that seems like a defense mechanism that helps us. I was going to say helps us enjoy life more, but maybe it doesn't really help us enjoy as much as it does protects us from the negative, whatever I mean by negative there, the weight of.
The suffering can come. There's an existential angst that happens with people when they truly are told, look, there's nothing we're doing for you is working, or it's a brand new something that has determined that their end of life will come sooner than they might have thought that it was going to. There's something that happens to us spiritually when that happens, I think, that is, well, have I done what I was put here to do? Have I fulfilled my life? Have I fulfilled any kind of a purpose? And then I think people are scrambling, and that can become the overwhelming part, is I can't do this. I can't do this. And in some states, you can opt out sooner. If you know it's coming, you can get the medical aid to hasten your death and choose the date. That's what I meant by that last numbered item on my list in the writing above, is that if I would want to then at least have that control. If I chose to use it, I'd want to access that. I've said that from the very beginning, that I would want, with an expected death, I would want to be able to choose when I die, who is there, what time of day, what, that whole orchestrating that whole beautiful scenario that can happen.
This conversation has given me an idea that wraps a lot of these things together. I was thinking about how meaningful it would be, even in advance of having any sort of diagnosis or prognosis. The idea of doing something like a family reunion, but having it be not just family, but family and friends, having it be the people who are most meaningful to you, and getting together in an environment where everyone can just celebrate the presence of one another. But if you could get people together and get canvases and paint, you could have people painting together, and it would be a memento that someone would be able to always have on their wall or wherever they want, of something that they did with another person. It is that combined energy in visual form. And so I think we should endeavor to set up a where the veil grows thin retreat where people can have the experience of letting people know how meaningful they are to each other, and create something that is a permanent reminder of time shared and of an emotion expressed and the camaraderie and connection between people. So you go do all the heavy work. I'll just show up with some canvases and some paint and some brush, and we'll help facilitate it for people.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love the whole idea of gathering people together who are important in your life,
Yeah.
and doing something, a shared common um, creative process together.
Yeah.
I
And
just Yeah,
e
go ahead.
even just thinking about what that would be like then if a group of 10 people shows up and they all have one focal point that brought them together. They've been invited by somebody. When that person is no longer with us, all of those people who are still behind have this very meaningful bond that they were a part of this, and the way that that community could be together to help each other through the grief, through the comforting, that seems like it could be profoundly meaningful
Yes,
to everybody.
yes. There's a I don't know if it's not a movement, but there's been a sort of a permission granted in recent years for people to consider a living celebration of their life.
Yeah.
And that could be what this could be like. If it was me, the people that I would invite, I would be inviting them because I want to celebrate the fact that our lives are connected somehow in a very meaningful way during
Yes.
my living time.
Yes.
We're all going to do this thing together so that when I die, the 10 of you have that common thread
Yeah.
to help yourselves through the grief and to do that. And I think that sometimes that's what happens in a really well done celebration of life after someone has died, is that the people who attend have that common thread that they were at that celebration of life together, and they may know one another and not have known that they all knew this person who died. There's
Mhm.
That happens in an organic, natural way at a really good celebration of life. But I love the idea of doing a celebration of life, a living celebration, and some people have done it. I've seen people do it acknowledging that that's what they're doing, but not have a common uh, creative project that they're going to work on together in the time they're together. And I have seen people do it and not be open about what they're doing. They really think it's just a summer party in this person's backyard and with live music and musicians, and oh, the family happened to be in town, and then the person's gone. There's just something tragic about that to me. It's a beautiful thing to do, but it speaks so loudly to how uncomfortable we are with talking about death and dying.
Yeah.
We don't like it.
No, we really don't.
No, I don't. Yeah. I don't know how to help people be more comfortable with it, because it's just one of the, it's very final. Ben, we've talked about this briefly before, is that what we come to that moment with in terms of our belief system helps or hinders our ability to ease
Sure.
into it with grace. If
Sure.
we're pretty certain that there is nothing after this, that's just over, or that the biblical fire and hell, fire, damnation is real, and we can't possibly have measured up, those things really get in our way of being able to be okay with, oh, I'm not, I wouldn't have chosen this for myself, but it's coming. So I'm kind of excited about finding out what happens.
Yeah.
I'm if you come to that point with that sort of an attitude, I think it can help. And if you just make the party exactly what you want. There was a guy in Crested Butte who died many years ago, and he used the medical aid in dying, so it couldn't have been that many years ago. And there was an article written in a monthly magazine in Crested Butte about it. It was written by his wife, and it was about the what he orchestrated, and it was so beautiful. He chose the people he wanted to have come to dinner. He was in a hospital bed in the living room and wasn't eating, but he was awake. He was conscious and watching, and he was seeing the people, his most dearly beloveds, all in the room, sharing a meal, candles everywhere. And then they did this gathering around his bed later, and he had been a plumber, I think. So they had this big plumbing wrench, and they passed it around the circle. That was their talking stick, and each person got to say what they wanted to him, if they wanted to say something. And that thread that it created for that group of people, I can't even imagine how
Yeah.
intimate
Absolutely.
and powerful that is in their lives.
Absolutely.
We
Mm.
can all do that.
Yeah.
We can all do that no matter what. And even if we don't have a diagnosis, that time is short, because we don't know. All we know is that we're all born with the same diagnosis, that we will die. The people who get that heads up are actually, it's a gift in many ways. They don't see it like that in the beginning, but at the end they do almost always see that awakening, that reminder that it had been a gift in their life, because they got to do some of the things that they wanted to do to make their lives, building bridges and those things.
I think that it's really important that we always keep in mind the small gifts of day to day living. And one of the small gifts that I had today was that you and I got to have this conversation. And I am so grateful that the universe crossed our paths when it did, and that you are able to talk so articulately and emotionally and objectively about all of these things that we all will have to face in our own lives and in the lives of those nearest and dearest to us. So thank you, Sean. I really appreciate it.
Ben. You're very welcome. I know that these podcasts, we're going to keep them short because we want people to watch them and listen to them, and we don't want people to get bored. So I'm sure we will talk about this again.
We will.
And I appreciate those words from you so much. It's not a miracle. it doesn't surprise me. It's not serendipitous, and it isn't coincidence how the two of us came together whenever that was, like a year and a half ago or more. I don't remember,
What is
but
time?
when it was time. But I feel the same way. I'm so grateful for you being in my life. It's a really new relationship. We haven't known one another very long, but it's been during such a pivotal time in my life. And so thank you.
Same.
Thank you. And thanks to all the listeners who are out there, anybody watching this or listening to it. It's such an honor to have this platform to talk about the things that I feel really passionate about, that I think matter. So thanks to everyone.
And because my friend Sean is not good at self-promotion, and I am not either, but I am good about bragging on my friends. I do wanna let you all know that Where the Veil Grows Thin is available wherever you get your podcasts, and if you feel so inclined, feel free to rate and review it, share it with friends, and also, Sean has a wonderful Substack that she is sending out approximately 2 times a week, and you can find all of the information for that at her website, seanjung.com. And, yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say from here. I just wanted to make sure that we got that part in.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. I'll see you soon, I hope.
Okay, bye, Sean.